Okay, I've decided to do a bit of a voiceover and explain some of the process that I took over this week. As you can see, this is Saturday. I went in and she was a lot more engaged and interested in me, probably because the day before I finished up with food, so she was starting to think that I was pretty all right. And my plan was this week was to introducing this flag and just getting a touch on her through that. So again, it's just an extension of my arm, not to worry her too much or threaten her too much, but just to get that bit of a touch, something different, but try to be still drawing her in as I was earlier, like last week, and rewarding the touch with release, which is backing off, and hopefully she stays engaged and follows me type thing. So, which I was getting at the start, and she was interested in this flag, even biting it and having a bit of a play, which was really nice. So she wasn't too fussed at all. Now, these videos over the days, they are probably a mix of different sessions throughout the day, because I don't want to do too much on her each session. I'll do a little bit, get a win, and I do have client horses in work, so what I'll do is do a bit with her, then go work with a client horse, then come back to her, and then go work with another client horse. So she's getting plenty of process time, and no different than what I preach with client horses and breakers and older horses. You know, I want the same, if not 1% more each session. So if I'm getting that with her, I even a 0.001% of an improvement, I'm winning. So that's what I'm aiming with her.
Oops. Oh, she knocked that really hard.
So once I started getting her interested in the flag, I thought I'd bring in my hand just to get a bit of a touch. Now, she was very cautious of my skin contact. It's such a bizarre thing. I ended up calling Colleen at the Brumby Association, just saying, is this normal? Because I know that she's got that a lot more instinct, but just that flag to skin was such a dramatic change. And difference, and you'll see that throughout this whole video, just from going from flag to hand. She really was cautious of my hand, which is fine. I knew that I would come across a few little challenges, and this was my first real one, I guess. So I worked a little bit on the hand, got some results, and then I'd go back to the flag, back to kind of her comfort zone, because the flag she did accept a lot more. So I'd go back to the flag. As you see, she loved it, loved to scratch with it. So that was kind of her reward in the end. And I would go back to that after I'd get a few little touches with my hand.
Such a clever girl.
So this was Monday, I think. I had a very busy day with client horses, so I think this is the afternoon, and I just spent the half an hour just letting her eat near me, just to be buddies basically, and not ask too much of her. Okay, so Tuesday morning I went in with a little bit of bribery, but smaller handfuls, so I could get close to that muzzle for that human contact. Again, she's still quite wary. If I don't have the flag or a bit of food, she's quite cautious of me. So much so that I did have a moment, unfortunately didn't get it on film, that she must have felt threatened, and she did come at me, ears back, not super teeth bared, but she was warning and she did lunge. So I took a step back and I did come back to the flag to mate up with her again and just let her know that I'm not here to hurt her type thing. She just felt threatened, and of course it's a learning curve for both of us. So I did come back to this. And I think I kind of called it a day after that. I'm like, let's just chill out a little bit and go back to this. So Wednesday I went in with a bit different of a plan. I decided to put a rope on her, and how I got that on was actually because I can't rope, and I didn't want to break any trust that we'd been gaining. I actually threaded the lasso knot through, well, my flag through that lasso knot, and was able to rub her up and through over her ears. So that worked as a complete fluke, and we were able to do this. So I just kind of worked on getting her just to give to a little bit of pressure by also following me around as we had been doing. So I did a bit with that. If she did get a bit frightened and run off, which I think she does somewhere along here, this is my fault completely. I just lost contact with her. That was my fault, so she ran off. But I was never going to anchor her down. One, I don't really have the strength to, and two, it would just add fuel to the fire. So I did not want to do that. If she ran off, I'd let her. She's allowed to have as much room as she likes to get away. But I was able to get that connection back quicker than usual. So I just let that rope slide through my hands, let her stop, face her back up, and then bring her back in. So we worked on that a bit. She'd probably run off every now and then, but not too much. So definitely got a lot more engagement through this, and just keeping her connected and not so distracted with things all around. So with the rope, I was able to kind of slide up it or slide along, starting to get some more contact. And when she'd sniff or give me some wins, I'd back off, and I'd just keep it interesting. I'd come up, let her have a sniff, try to get a little bit of contact on that muzzle, and then I'd walk around again. So I do a lot of leading as such. It's not really leading, it's just trying to get her to give to the pressure of that rope. I'm trying to be as light as I can and get her to draw in, but contribute it to a little bit of pressure around her neck there, so which will eventually help for leading. So as you can see, I'm just trying to be as light as possible, and if I don't have to apply pressure, I won't, but I'll slowly just increase it and introduce it when need be. I also don't want to be too precious with that rope. I'll pull it along, let it drag between her legs. She does have to get used to it, which she does really well. And as I say, if she wants to move off, I'll just let it slide through my hands. I kind of gave her a bit of pressure there just to see what she'd do. She didn't want to, so I let her go, let her face up, and then bring her back in. I probably shouldn't be looking away too much, and that's probably why she looked away. So when I'm watching back here, I go, oh, doing the wrong thing there. And, there's plenty of times where I'm going to be messing up. So, yes, please don't judge me too much here. Again, I'm just trying to get that bit of touch and a little bit of acceptance with my hand. She's getting more and more interested and wanting it. She's not as defensive, and she is drawing in a lot more and showing interest. And when I do drop my hand, a lot of the time she'll come follow me in. So as I said earlier, this has taken over plenty of different sessions. This is probably a bit later in the day, so she's woken up and a little bit more happy again. Again, I'm not too precious about that rope. If she wants to be a bit worried about it or, move off it, I'll let her and draw her back in. So applying just that little bit of pressure to get her to follow that feel. I kept it interesting still. As mentioned earlier, I will bring in the flag, I'll do some leading around, and I'll use my hand. I'm not trying to overwhelm her with too much, but I want to keep her interested and keep the sessions interesting by just doing a few different little things and to keep her engaged, which she well and truly is here. This worked really well too, because I was starting to rub down her neck and down to her wither, and that's as far as I've gotten really with her. But by doing that, my hand's closer, so I'm actually getting closer to that muzzle without her kind of even knowing it. Like, it's not looking as forced as such. So it's all wins, and she's definitely starting to relax more and more with it, and I think she really is starting to enjoy that touch with the flag first. Not my hand yet, but she's getting more and more interested, which is a huge win. I will also mention, and you've probably noticed, that I'm not giving as much release like stepping way back anymore. She's getting the reward now through the scratch with that flag, and I'm trying to make that now the reward. I'll still drop things and drop my hand and back off when I feel that she's felt a little bit threatened or too much pressure, and then she's given to it, then I will step back a little bit. But yeah, I'm just slowly closing that space a little bit. And to get this off, unfortunately my lasso is super old and my leather piece is worn, so I have to get my flag to help to spread it apart to get it up over her ears. So I was very pleased with her here because she stood there So this was Friday. The end of my session the day before, I actually went back up to her with the lasso and rubbed her all over her head and up and over her ears. So I thought, well, let's try that again tomorrow morning so I don't have to use the flag. I want to eventually just be able to walk up to her and put a rope on her. This morning she was a lot more, yesterday morning, so this morning you're watching, she was a lot more hesitant. Well, not a lot more, she was a bit more cautious. It's a new day. So I just went back again. I'm giving that more release, trying to draw her back a little bit because this is new again. This is different than what she has been used to the last couple of days. So I wanted to just get little wins and build on them. So again, I'd give her plenty of release by stepping back out of her space when she would give me a little bit. But my aim was to eventually get her up there, I'll get that rope up to her, let her sniff it, rub it up her face, treat it as the flag basically. I'm able to get that flag up and down in her face, up and through her ears, and she's so relaxed and accepting of it. I want her to be the same with this rope. And it's going to take some time. It's a new tool. And here I go, coming back to the comfort, the baby blanket. So again, this will come back in probably for the next few weeks, you know. She loves it now. She's not walking off or scared of it anymore. So I'm able to use it as a reward. So if she was accepting that rope a little bit up on her face a little bit, but was still a bit cautious, I went to here and just to give her that reward. And then back to the rope. Slowly just getting it up to her ears. And again, the day before I was able to put it up and over and she stood there, which was fantastic. And I was kind of hoping for that today. As you see, it didn't go exactly to plan, but at the same time, she did not freak out, which is fantastic. She gave and she drew straight back in, which was beautiful. Like I couldn't really hope for more than that. Like that is fantastic in my eyes. So just same old stuff as I did the day before, bringing her in a little bit and hoping she'll come up to some skin contact. But this day, Friday, was a huge win. She was just a lot more interested, as you can see here, a little bit playful, but there's no more dominance in that. I don't feel like she's more inquisitive than threatened, and I really felt like we're getting somewhere here. So again, bringing in the flag, getting closer to her by rubbing down on her shoulders and her wither.
That was the most pressure I reckon I put on you. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah.
As you see there, and I think I explained it, that's why I shut up for a little bit. She actually gave to that pressure of the rope, and that's the first time I was able to just kind of hang on just that little bit more. I'll give them the option. I'll hold that little bit, but if she got a bit scared, again, she done it there. Beautiful. Like she actually gave to that rope pressure. I'll give them the option to move away. If I applied that pressure and she got a little bit threatened and wanted to take off, I'd just let it slide through my hands and let her go. We can always work on that. And this is the first time flinging that flag around like this, and she's taken it real well. As you can see, the slack in that rope, she has every option to run off if she likes or feels threatened by that. And I just act accordingly. But yeah, she's choosing to stand there. Except for then. But that was completely my fault. But in saying that, I'm very pleased with the way she handled it. She, again, could have taken off, and she chose to stay with me. Not here, but I think I'm applying just that. Unfortunately, she goes out of frame, but I obviously applied just that little bit of pressure, and she come back to me. So, yeah, she's starting to learn that feel, which is really, really nice. And again, back to the safety blanket. After that bit of a scare, just want to go back just to make sure she's still with me, still engaged, still interested, and not shaking in her boots, which she's not. She was able to self-regulate and come back to me for comfort. She could have easily gone to the fence and looked away and faced her bum at me and was in her own zone, but she didn't. She decided to take that feel of that rope and come back and be happy with what we're doing here. Now, from here on's like the breakthrough. I'd been rubbing her down, holding that flag in my hand. So when I first introduced that flag, it was at the actual end of the stick. And then I slowly moved up the stick, so I was closer and closer, so my hand was closer and my body was closer. So with this, I'm working on getting, because she loves the flag, get her to feel that flag and be happy with that flag, and then transfer to my hand. So it was a lot of, this went on for a few different sessions, and just getting her nice and relaxed with that feel of the flag. And then I'd roll that flag, there we go, roll it around into my hand. So I'd be rubbing her with the back of my hand and just be slowly transferring that feel from material to skin, because she clearly has shown that she knows the difference and she's not 100% comfortable with my skin, and I want her to be. I want her to know that my touch is just as good as this flag, and she started to really come around end of yesterday, and again why I'm so chuffed. So this would probably be another session later in the day, in between sessions, and because I'm leaving her for an hour or more, I'm going doing other stuff with other horses. I do take that rope on and off each time. I don't want her dragging it around. It's not going to benefit her in any way. It's not going to be a good experience. But by taking it on and off each time, it's just increasing her learning and getting her better and better. So, but again, I'm just transferring that touch from behind that flag, which is her comfort zone, to my hand, and just the difference in her, like from the little mare that got real threatened when I just put that first touch on her. I was just underneath her eye when she had a little lunge episode, and it really had me scratching my head and wondering, am I putting too much pressure on her? You know, am I asking too much? And I did end up giving Colleen a call at the Brumby Association just to have a bit of a chat, and said, you know, this is what's happened. Am I pushing it? Is this normal? And, you know, she was able to just reassure me that these things happen, you know, and touch is one of the biggest challenges with these Brumbies. So it did make me feel a little bit better, and I was like, right, I think I'm on the right track still. And to get these results end of Friday, I was really happy. I was able to feel a bit better about myself and crawl out of my little slum of thinking, my goodness, we're not getting along too well, and yeah, that we are on the right track. We just had to take our time and do different approach, and by doing this, I really do feel that we've accomplished some things and starting to trust each other a lot more. I think one of the biggest rewards of this was not just getting the touch on her, but for her, when I backed off, she stood there and she looked for more. You know, she really accepted it, and that's what really melted me. I think we're just, you know, and now I think these final ones, I'm not having to use that flag in between. So win-win, we're getting there. This wasn't the best takeoff. We can't win every time, but you got to show the good with the bad. So it's things to learn and things to improve on, but very pleased with her.
One day you'll stay, girl.